Good. Yeah, I even heard myself. Perfect. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my talk, co-piloting my autism and tech. And for those who have questions why I use this kind of a strange capitalization, I also have another title slide because I want to co-pilot my autism and tech. But I also want to cope my autism and tech. And although you may be read on the abstract coping as a double thing, if you are on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, the reality is you need to do cope a lot. So why not let AI help you a little bit with coping? I don't have a lot of time to only talk about myself, so it will be my shortest introduction ever. But once you start to print your hashtags on your clothes, you are crazy. So I reached that limit. I'm also Microsoft MVP. So the content of today will be I will not tell to you today a start about generative AI, what AI is, what the model is. No, there are other speakers enough doing this. I want to learn you new insights about autism. I will start with some general things about autism. And then I will tell why it really comes place into my autism because it's a spectrum. And then we go a co-pilot a lot of stuff. With live demos, of course. But first of all, talk a little bit about autism. And the most important thing, there's only one thing you need to remember from autism after this talk is two things. First of all, you can cope or co-pilot it with AI. And the second thing is, it's a spectrum. And it means the following. I will cite it, I will read it aloud. All of us, of course people with autism, are different. Some are overstimulated, some are understimulated. Some talk too much, I'm one of those. Some talk too little. But one thing is really the same. Our brain works different than the others. Like the neurotypicals or the people without autism or neurodiversity. And also ask us what we need, ask us what works for us, and also ask us what doesn't work. It's not the time for you to make assumptions. And one more thing. Never, ever judge. And start with some theories about autism. And so those theories are coming from people science, human science, so psychologists and psychiatrists and researchers in the neural part of your brain. And one of their theory is central coherence. And central coherence is how your brain computes, let's say, the connection between everything, the connection between places, people, thoughts, things, even feelings. So let's say a little example of central coherence. The coherence of all the conference is a part of central coherence. There is a speaker, there are speakers, there are talks, there are sessions. Sessions contain slides and knowledge. This theory is also not an autism theory. None of those theories are autism theories. Those theories are showing where it most of the time is different on people on the autism spectrum. We say that of people with autism, their central coherence work different than others' central coherence. So we all have those theories. We also, by example, have all executive functioning. And executive functioning is performing tasks in your daily life and of course in your work life because it's part of your life that requires thinking, concentration, analyzation of stuff, and context switching. So we are, as developers, we are using a lot of executive functioning. And then something is really important is the stimuli response system. So everything you do are stimuli. Stimuli can come external or even internal. And how you cope, how you compute the stimuli into your brain, that is the stimuli responses. How do you respond on stimuli? And it is everything. Sounds, feelings, tactile, visual, hearing. So if you say something, he is overstimulated, in fact he is not. in fact, there's a problem, an issue, a bug, and the stimuli response that looks like the person is overstimulated. It's just to make it short. The feeling of that person is that he is overstimulated, and it's true. He says it's true, but if you really do it technical or really do it scientifical, it's not that. It's the response on the stimuli. And of course, there's all for the simple stuff. Simple. I really wanted to learn developer something new, so I think no, not about GPT in general. And of course, in autism, it's also everything in the next chapter when I'm going to talk about my specific autism. One of the things, it's also for everyone, but for me, is one of the most, it's just the things, to be honest, that I will demo how I use AI for it. It's context blindness. And I love the theory about context blindness. Otherwise, I shouldn't talk about it, to be honest. And that is seeing the why of stuff. Seeing, but also completely understanding and completely executing, computing the stuff about the why of something. And why is something happening right now? But it's also the next thing is, why isn't this happening right now? Or why isn't this happening as I had expected it to be? It's at least even important because it's also part of context. And why is an exception made for somebody? I go back, not a lot, but go back to the COVID times. Sometimes people have exceptions than the others. Why are there? The bigger picture of the exceptions, the context. And that's really the theory saying that people with autism are context blind. But as I said, it's a spectrum that you may have autism and not recognize the context blindness. But if you start thinking about it, oh yeah, it is a thing. And also, under which situations, again, situations, just another word, context, are decisions made? For me, it really helps me to accept things if I know why those things, those choices are made. That really helps me. I'm not that fan of just doing what you need to do without asking stuff. No. Why is it used to be that way, and why should we, And we will use AI for this today. It's not a joke. And also really important, why is somebody acting as he does? Or also maybe not acting as he or she or they does. And then we have the cognitive workload. And that's, let's say, a problematic part to talk about at conferences, because some things are there, but they shouldn't be there. Like if you're doing a high executing function brain with your brain, high executing, you shouldn't have difficulties with cognitive workload. You shouldn't. Who say that? The why? To be honest, look at it another way. And life is about energy. As some people believe it, some people are not. Doesn't matter. But there's one reason that a person can have a burnout. The terminology burnout really comes from the next. The person is burned out, and between brackets, internal energy, so he or she or they cannot do their job or whatever anymore. And that's a really funny thing, because a lot of people saying energy is not a thing. There's a reason there's burnout, or at least the terminology defining and making the link between the fuel is burnt out. And it's also really important that if you have problems or issues or difficulties with cognitive workload, that's not about being dumber. It's not about being less smart, less clever. No. People with autism will say we just need to do more. We need to do more stuff to process. People without autism aren't, let's say, we expect they aren't need to do such much of energy in processing stimuli. As I said, the stimuli response. They don't need to do all the context calculations. We need to do it as persons with autism because we are context blind. And then estimations and expectations of others' behavior. We need to do all this stuff more next to our, let's say, up and living, running and working. So maybe we can use some assistance with our cognitive workload because we need to do way more. Even that we maybe by look less productive, we do way more. And so we can use a little help, and we will do this. Another thing about autism, and it's really something of me personally also, is rigidity. Being rigid, or another way is being inflexible. Being inflexible to change track. And track is everything. A track can be a language. Let's go a bit to IT, a programming language. It can be a framework. It can be a job. It can be a city to move to work. So that's a track, let's say it. And combination, we know that we need to execute more than others, so we have more cognitive work. So this can be a reason that we might seem like rigid, because we maybe hesitate more because we know it will take us more work, execution, energy than somebody not on the spectrum. Another thing is, it's really funny, it's not at all to be honest, there's anxiety. Most of the people with autism are more anxious, if you measure the anxiety levels, than people without autism. You have, because this is spectrum, you also always have the exceptions of this, who don't feel a lot of anxiety. And of course, you have also people with autism and an additional anxiety disorder. I am that lucky bastard, I have both. So we can react more scared, we can look scared, and we might look like we are panicking on a way that you didn't expect it, by example. And we might temper not to act to do something. Maybe we don't want to update a platform to the latest and greatest technology because we are afraid if it fails, the switch, that we will lose customers and eventually also our job. That's not rigidity anymore. Rigidity is being a little bit difficult with it. But it can be this, but it can be really, really anxious. Because what if it fails, changing the new technology, and we lose eventually our job, our money, our income? But the good thing is, you learned about autism, and now it's time for AI. Now we're going to cope this, or co-pilot this. And we will use different tools, as you also read in the abstract. So, and we also will have different scenarios we're going to play with. And I promise some people some stuff that they never accepted to see in my talk. They will see JavaScript in my talk. I never show JavaScript, and I promise some people that I will show JavaScript. Of course, I keep my promise. I am one of those. Because switching my C# mindset to JavaScript is hard. And a lot of people who are not on the autism spectrum say to me, that is not hard, it's imaginative. This looks the same, the syntax. No. We see details maybe as people don't, or I see details. It's not the same. I had a lot of fun for a few months ago. I had a conversation with somebody, autism and people, a developer also on the autism spectrum, a .NET developer, and I talked to him about JavaScript. He said, Dennie, you are right. Thank you, my friend. So, but the reality is, or maybe we can call it the sad reality is, sometimes we need to do some JavaScript, even if we prefer working in Blazor. And I use Visual Studio Code and Copilot. I use it in Visual Studio Code, not in the full Visual Studio, for a reason. To work some JavaScript is needed. Why do I do it in code? Because I want to separate it from my functioning stuff. But after all, I want to test for accessibility IDs. And if I have a great ID, I prefer to rewrite it in Blazor if I know it's validated. But then we can questioning, and we have a lot of questions about AI. We're going to question ethics, but we're also going to question, do I learn JavaScript on this way if I let Copilot write it? And I'm really honest, no, I don't learn JavaScript this way. But the question is, do I need to learn JavaScript? Especially in these times that Blazor is really good. No, my thing is being better and better in accessibility cases to develop software for a lot of people. So I need to just validate IDs. And then I can rewrite it in Blazor. So no, I will not learn JavaScript. I accept it, but my priority will grow. And it's really simple again. Sometimes life is simple. Sometimes we make life harder than it is, really important. So if you have a limited cognitive workload, really simple, choose your priorities wisely. Yeah, even more taboo than JavaScript. Starting a complete methodology, even in your favorite language stack, requires a lot of energy. And can I simplify this? To be honest, I was never that good at unit testing. And if somebody say I am not that good at unit testing, they don't dare to say, but they are saying I don't write unit test. To be honest, But it's a good thing. So can I use it to learn it for the right way? Can I use it? Can I let Copilot in Visual Studio, that is other code, is in Visual Studio for my really good, my favorite project? Can I write it in unit test? And also, I really started to learn it. I started with generating some unit test templates. And then I had some really interactions with the Copilot. It was not like in code that I choose just generate some JavaScript to validate, let's say, an accessibility ID. It was, I wanted to learn unit test with as less cognitive effort as possible. So I started with let it writing, so I'm generating some unit test, and then you combine it with Visual Studio, Visual Copilot chat, visual chat. I chat about it. Why are you doing this, and why should I do this? Can I replace this maybe with that? And then after this, I did the other round around. I went, for example, to a YouTube course or a Pluralsight course and learned some basics about unit testing. But I already knew a lot with Copilot. But that's a complete different case. That's important to see a complete different case than JavaScript. Here I really had interaction. So you can say that Copilot was my coach, was my mentor, was my teacher. It didn't just generate me something that it should be there. By the way, all the stuff I talk about, after those both, there are two big blocks in my talk. Those will be all the demos, but I want to first slides, then demos, to make it easier, less cognitive workload, MD file blogging, that's something really crazy that I started with. So it's Visual Studio Code that I use for this. I write blogs. Do I like writing blogs? To be honest, my spelling and grammar in English is bad. I know it. But I want to share content. I think, especially on accessibility and the mix of people science and IT science, I have value to bring on the table. So I say, what if I start blogging in MD files and put everything on GitHub? Private or public, doesn't matter. And then there is in Visual Studio Code, there is a plugin, a language plugin, so that it says your text spelling, like in Word. But then in Visual Studio Code, the spelling, even in Dutch and in English, so let's say maybe in all the languages, maybe also in Polish. So, and I write my blogs in MD files and let Copilot help me. So, ethics. Should we do this? Should we write a blog post with AI? Well, that's the thing. Is it authentic? I didn't ask ChatGPT to generate a blog article, by example, about the WCAG. WCAG is something very important in accessibility standards. I wrote it with Copilot, and it just helped me. And to be really honest, it took more time than without. Really funny, but I still love it. Why? The end product is way more professional. To put on the website of the DSoft, the English version, or even the Dutch, is both. It's look more professional, so more attractive to attract customers for us. But it's not really time-saving in that scenario. But it's just more professional, so it brings good enough, and it's less time-saving than really deepening my language and my writing on that case. And then we have pattern assistance. So let's start Visual Studio here, because we are not in JavaScript, so not in MD files. And we start with the right folder structure. We start using and working with the great naming convention. And then the games begin. You can't imagine, if you really have a good, decent structure, how many loads of blocks of lines Copilot writes for you, and how good it is. There, I think it's really important that you start with a good structure of naming conventions and folders. But this is a time saver. It's like being ×4, ×3 productive. Oh my God. And we can also have communication. I can learn about the patterns, by example, going into chat and learn. I think you have the code generation. You do not learn a lot about this. I don't learn a lot about this quite myself. But if you then chat about it and really ask reasoning, why do you do it that way? And maybe can it be better in another way? And I want to change this particular part, let's say a field of the type of a property. Is it double? Is a double maybe better in that scenario than a single? Will it be more productive? Let's have a good conversation with my mentor. So it's about power. It's really about triple or times 4 much code in the same time. And that makes me happy, to be honest. NuGet packages here are awesome. You start going to docs, learn Microsoft Learn to docs. You know which NuGet package you need to install. You copy some snippet of code. You spin it off. It runs. Okay. What we have, something that runs. Good. But that we don't understand, to be honest. So what do we do with this? Let's have a conversation and ask, is there better ways doing this to our mentor? I mean, Visual Studio Copilot or GitHub Copilot. Yeah, all the names. Names are hard. If I say Visual Studio Copilot, it's always GitHub Copilot, my friends, but naming is hard. But this is a really powerful learning assistant. And to be honest, I accept assistance on sometimes. But let's make some things concrete. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to code. It's time for some JavaScript for the people I promised. So here I have Visual Studio Code. It's really simple. It's really also not really something accessibility-wise. It's just showing how fast it goes. I have my index.html. Sorry, it doesn't matter. I have my names.html. And I have a little form. I'm going to open this in File Explorer. And I'm going just to open the file. So I have a form. It's ugly, but it's without any logic even. So it's ugly and it's not functional. So great. But maybe we don't want to spend a whole Blazor project for that. We want to do it really simple in JavaScript. So what we're going to do, we're going to Visual Studio Code. So that's just the UI with the variable names and the control names that I chose. We have a code, a script block. I will just put this here. You shouldn't suggest it already. Yeah, it's crazy smart. But let's make it a little bit deep. Create. Perfect. Let's change the variables. Yeah, I should look at it. Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna be itchy. I'm gonna refresh. When you start doing live demos and can't write your own name anymore, then you have a problem. Maybe Copilot will write my name. Why do I this? Maybe in the future Copilot will even prevent me doing such a crazy stuff. I hope. I hope, and then I say dreaming is believing. Okay, let's make a little switch. It's not me, I'm not that smart, it's Copilot. I shouldn't do this in JavaScript. But just say reworks. Because it's really important that you show that it's possible. No, no. No, I don't. That's the thing. You need to be able to read it. I read it and I know that it would be just to replace everything. Reworks the works. Yeah. That's the thing. So you need to understand something of the language. So, but is a sharp developer not speaking JavaScript, say that way, can read this and understand this pretty well. So I'm gonna refresh to be sure 2 times. Boom. Okay. Thank you, Copilot, writing my JavaScript. Did it right? Yeah, it's yeah. So I needed to change. That shouldn't be open. That should be reverse. So Copilot, why are you hating me today? But I will not change it because taking time because I have so much demos. But that should definitely work. Let's save and close and open code again because it's time now to update. My friend, I need to write MD blocks for the conference people. Okay, it says file, new window. Sometimes it's just updating even if you don't want it, and that's just really important to write a blog post. I want to open. I want a new window. I want to have the open window. Okay, here's the combination of updates and conference Wi-Fi is also very funny. And then some people decide to do stuff with AI with live demos. They decide to do this and then they know they depend on the demo goats. I hope I did my prayer good enough. So today, don't be slow. Yeah, okay. You are there, my friend. I press enter. I was not speaking about the OpenShift. Let's just go to the next one. That's really a thing, to be honest. That's not a lie. I was definitely not speaking about Java. No! I was speaking about Git, not about GitHub Actions to deploy. No. And oh no, it needs to be more complex. No, it needs to be more complex. How it can help people on the okay. But now I want to know how. No, I didn't talk about people with Dutch. That's what I'm. But I really. But that's the thing. I really said to you in my slides. So the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. I said it takes me more time than doing it without GitHub Copilot, but it's grammatical more perfect. And I'm sure that the sentences who are generated are better grammar and spelling than I would write it myself. So that's the thing. I'm just showing you how bloody honest I am. So no, I'm not writing blog. I'm not writing. I don't save it. I don't writing blog posts because I am with Copilot because I'm lazy because I want to be it perfect without being a language professional. Let's go to Visual Studio for a minute. So I have Visual Studio, and in Visual Studio I have a hobby project because what else should we do with our time? Making hobby projects, of course. And here I will not show the whole hobby project. Maybe it's ever I will make another talk about it. But what's important for today, we have services and we are connecting to stable storage to save my conference attendances for hobby project. But then we have the base class of this and you are going to connect to Azure Table Storage. So, and here we are getting some entity and replacing and deleting some basic quit stuff. But I want to replace, I want to put my cursor here. I want to select this part of text for this moment. I go to the Copilot chat. I wait it load and I ask, Very curious. Okay, so here he want to replace and update. So I will try it. I will not try this right now, I think, for the demo, because I even didn't spit it up the whole solution, the demo solution. But that's really how I'm working, how I spend some times behind my desk on my hobby project and learning and to make myself better. So that's the difference between the JavaScript. It's not only generating, it's really my teacher, my mentor, taking me on a track for example, the NuGet. In fact, here the table storage service is a NuGet package in my dependencies. So here I am, it's a package. So in fact, that is conversation, as I said, with NuGet packages. It's not about Azure Data Store, table storage. No, it's about conversations with NuGet patches in general. So also it helped me with my NuGet tests, with my unit tests. But I will not demo this today, unit tests. So this is how it really helps me with my professional stuff. So this was demos about Visual Studio Code, and I also demoed at this time Visual Studio already. I have more stuff about in that part about cognitive workflows. I love modern and shiny slides for my talks, and they need to have a good, awesome title slide. So I let it generate by Microsoft Designer, so part of the O355 suite. This one too, to be honest, the second one, not the first one from the conference template we got, but the first one. To be honest, it looks so inspiring and it's without loads of work. Like the second one, there's another talk that I gave at some conferences about emotions. So with the fluent, with the animation, this is also co-piloting my life. That's why what's in the abstract, that is not only about GitHub Copilot. But I even do it more than this. I do it for my marketing. I'm a hobby. I started as a hobby developer with the passion to make the world more accessible for people with different disabilities. I run at this time DDSoft, a non-profit, with 4 volunteers. And we have big ambitions, to be honest. And to be very, very honest, and that's the sad reality, we have more time to work on projects than customers that we have. So that's bad. But we know the reason. The reason is our marketing is bad, and hiring a good marketeer is just so expensive, especially for us. So we are at this time really playing also with AI. How far can we go? Like we have different branches, and we do an event in Belgium, and all the designs of the event are done, by example, in Microsoft Designer also. So here it can also help us with the stuff we are not that good in, but that we all have been working in our job. We have the stuff that we really want to do, and we have the stuff that we need to do. This also if you are running a non-profit. It's not always the same. So we co-pilot a little bit my cognitive workload, but now we can even co-pilot more. We're going to co-pilot tangibility and context blindness. Why we shouldn't. So, first of all, do we talk about politics at this times maybe at software conferences? You don't need to answer, but to be honest, the world runs on politics. And software is the world and it's all a translation of politics. And people assume that you don't ask some stuff. If you are coming from a background that you didn't learn all this politics about, and Belgium really has the culture that you don't talk about this even. You don't ask some questions. Oh my God, I love Bing. I learn loads, to be honest. It's less vulnerable, it's less shaming than asking to the wrong people or saying wrong IDs to the wrong people. Or right IDs to the wrong people or the wrong IDs to the right people. Travel IDs, it's amazing. It's really something that I'm working on. That's really something that I'm doing research, not only for myself, but part of the DSOF to help others specific with autism. I am not of those, but a lot of people with autism have a lot of difficulties planning public transport. So for people who don't have an own car, who need to do it with public transport, I am doing a lot on planning transport, public transport, in different areas, countries, by different companies. But I do the same just for fun, also for myself. Like, I travel a lot to conferences. If you look online, you see I speak at a lot of conferences. Otherwise, I shouldn't have a pet project with managing all those. But I also, if I'm at a conference like here in Lutz, I want to do stuff in the local area, to be honest. I want to know something about the local food, traditions, transport. Converting money, that's also, again, I will talk about few things and then demo this. We're going to ask about food and also converting money, and so all with Bing AI is so amazing, and it's why it helps me. Another thing that we're doing at the software in my job is really talking about mental health in combination with autism. And we give trainings about autism and mental health. And as I already said, I have an anxiety background due to traumatic experiences in the past. But giving courses about those, one of the really important things in autism called tangibility, making things tangible for people. It's difficult to make, let's say, some traumatic experiences tangible. And I don't talking about crimes. Not each people who suffer trauma is victim of a crime. That's not true at all. For me, for example, I was traumatized in the clinic where they diagnosed my autism. They didn't do anything illegal, but one thing's about the context, and maybe they were too strict, the whole thing. Nothing illegal, but it was traumatic. I cannot go to, let's say, a child psychiatry to take pictures there. How bad they are. But to be honest, like this picture here, is Dali generating a kid in the child psychiatry. And that is someone who is kind of bullied at workforce or at school. The good thing is, those are not really, that one child is not in the psychiatry. It's just Dali having fun with me. And that child is not bullied in real life. So that's really good thing. And you can't imagine if you speak about something, how tangibility helps. So yeah, that is an idea of fake images, deepfakes for the better. Because I don't harm people and I also don't harm myself. Also mentally in that way. I love it, to be honest. Let's go to Dali. And no, I'm not going to be doing that at this Dreaming is Believing conference. I'm going to do other stuff. I'm here in the Dali playground. And I will look to my timer. Okay, kind of. And I will generate me a unicorn who is stable. Sorry, conference. It's really important to see how it looks, a unicorn who is stable. People watching on online, it's nothing for you, but people in the room, I think they know what it's about. That's one thing. Dali is bad at words, at language. It's really, the words you cannot reach, it's really bad at language. So we want it without text. So, generate me unicorn. So people doing this for real life, creating these ideas and testing this and giving the workshops. Oh, it's fail safety. Is this unicorn so danger? Generate me a, go the other part. Generate me polish. If that not works, then I don't know what's harmful with polish tumblings. Awesome. If I'm not happy with it, I can regenerate. I can? Yeah, but maybe I want to have some variety. Okay, and I don't want to offend people, but I travel the world and I learn a lot about what I see. But if I go to a restaurant here, something is really important. That's what we're seeing here in restaurants. I'm not judging. I'm just showing what we're seeing and what I expect if I go to a restaurant tonight. Yeah, but I miss the vodka, to be honest. I don't see vodka. I miss the vodka. Maybe we stop it here for sake of time. I hope there's vodka right now. Yeah, awesome. We have vodka. Awesome. That is really not to stay, Matthijs. It's just having fun, to be honest. Let's go to the chat. Right? We are not going to Microsoft Designing, but I want to ask some. Maybe I am in the vodka and the dumplings atmosphere, and I am in Luch. I don't need to write it with the right puns. It will work with GPT. With Bing, GPT is clever. I want to go to a dumpling restaurant tonight. Can but no, it looks funny. But that's not that funny as you think. This really helps me. This really helps me as a person with autism. Maybe have some expectations about food and going to a lot of countries, having those conversations, and it's way more easy to look it up, and that way we're going to do more than going on TripAdvisor. Going on TripAdvisor, you need to execute more steps yourself and combine the stuff. Whiskey in a jar is not vodka in a jar, I see. Let's have a look. I want the duck one. Can I have some prices for dinner in the third option? So he knows the context. So the third options it will be, I will not pronounce it, I will say myself. You see that he knows it. Or she or the system knows it. Oh my gosh. Okay. And I need prices. It's crazy, to be honest. Yeah, good one. It's in dollar already. It should be okay. It's good. I I intend it would be in zloty and then I would convert to euro, but convert those prices. And you will see normally, if you do the job right, normally it should show it in zloty, but if you do it right, it will show the researchers, the researchers which service it's used for the currency conversion, so you can fact check your currency conversion. Awesome. So you will see if you hover those, the resources is always saying is exchange stuff. And no, to euros. Because I still count in euros, and it will go from my bank account during the night from in euros. Okay. I think these are the demos that, for sake of time, that are interesting to show today. It's not that the other things are not interesting, but you make a choice, and maybe coding is more important for the developers conference than making designs. So that's the reason I chose those stuff. It's over. Some resources, you can scan the QR. In fact, they are just web links to the official pages on Microsoft Learn, but just a little bit more easy if you don't want to take the QR to remember or to write down. It's just both to Microsoft Learn. The first one is general thing about generative AI, and I think the other one is more about Copilot. Yeah. No, the first one is CoPilot and the other one is my slide. Sorry. The first one is CoPilot and the second one is to my GitHub account. And I uploaded my slides in GitHub. Thank you. I have time to answer some questions.